Hey, Dad.
Oh, hey, son. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Do you think there's any chance we go out and do something fun today?
Um, I, yeah, sure. Whatever you want. It's fine.
That's great. Thank you, Dad. I love you.
You too.
I'm so cold.
Hello, my trigger happy friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and welcome to the very first Thriller Thursday, a segment where I dedicate some time to my love of horror, slasher, and thriller movies. Before we get started, though, if you could, hit that subscribe button and the little bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So grab your keyboards, head down to the comments section, and let's review The Voices.
Sing a happy song, sing a happy song. Why don't you sing along, sing a happy song.
This is a very strange movie about a mentally unhinged factory worker who must decide to either listen to his cat and become a killer or follow his dog's advice and keep striving for normality. This movie is insane. It really is. This movie went under my radar, and I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I never heard of this film before, and I just came across it on Vudu by accident. I almost didn't click on it, and man, am I glad I did. This movie is so deep in character development, I had to watch it twice to absorb all of it. It's one part Santa Clarita Diet, one part Joker, and one part Saw. So let's go ahead and dive into what I like about this movie. The story. The story is fantastic. It's a character study of a very mentally disturbed person named Jerry, who listens to mental health advice from his cat and his dog.
Sometimes they talk to my pets, and they sometimes talk to me, sometimes.
I get that.
But the story is told through a few different lenses, which is one of the many things that make it very interesting to me. One lens, we have Jerry on his medication, and then the other lens is Jerry off his medication.
You totally stopped taking the pills, didn't you?
Totally.
And then the third lens is kind of an outsider's point of view, somebody who's not Jerry, outside looking in to Jerry's life. So these multiple views of this one story is where I get that Joker comparison from. And the story is expertly told by a director I've never heard of. And I think I'm going to say this right. It's Marjane or Marjane Satrapi. The story is told so well throughout the entire movie. She definitely had a vision. It seamlessly transfers perspectives, those different lenses that I was talking about. And if you're not fully focused on the movie and you're just kind of like in and out of it, you might actually think this movie's a tonal mess, because it comes across as almost three different genres of movies. And the story feels like it's being told by a seasoned director, even though it's not. There's subtle clues throughout the movie to let you know when Jerry's medication is beginning to wear off. Like, for example, no spoilers, even the shape of a piece of pepperoni on a pizza is a subtle hint at Jerry's mental state at the beginning of this movie. I know that sounds completely crazy. That's how subtle some of these things are. Now, moving on to the cinematography. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. It really distinguishes between when we're in Jerry's head and when we're in real life, or somewhere in between. When you have the happy, non-medicated Jerry, we see vibrant oranges, blues, and pinks, and very happy tones, bright colors. But then when Jerry's medicated and not happy, everything gets desaturated. They use a green filter and it has this fluorescent lighting to it. Very uncomfortable, very uneasy feeling, which is completely opposite from happy non-medicated Jerry. If you're not watching closely and you miss that tonal shift and how it happens and why it happens, you're going to think that the direction is all over the place. So you really have to pay attention very close to this film. You are forced to pay attention or be completely lost. The cinematography really went hand in hand with the storytelling. You can definitely tell the cinematographer and the director were very open in communication and on the same page with everything. Ryan Reynolds as Jerry. I've seen many faces of Ryan Reynolds over the years. We have suspenseful and dramatic Ryan, like the Amityville Horror or the movie Buried. Then you have the comedic genius Ryan, Deadpool, Van Wilder, Waiting. And then there's the softer, more romantic Ryan, like in the movies Definitely Maybe and The Proposal. This movie has all of those. You see all different levels of Ryan, and it really shows off Ryan's acting skills because oftentimes he's jumping from one to the next. Not really in the James McAvoy, Split or Glass way, not so dramatic, but a little bit more subtle. but kind of that same essence. You're seeing him go from one type of Jerry to the next type of Jerry to the next type of Jerry. And when he's funny and lighthearted, you care for him. You root for him. So when he's in killer mode, you almost feel bad for him because these kills come across as almost an accident. He genuinely doesn't want to hurt anyone, and you believe this as he's slowly stabbing somebody in the throat, like on purpose. You feel bad for him and you see his conflict. He thinks he's helping this person. And in his mind, the only way to help them is to kill them. And it hurts. It breaks his heart. He's saddened by it. And then he pushes it down, and then we see a different level of Jerry, a different justification of his actions type of Jerry. And this is probably the best I've ever seen Ryan Reynolds perform, only because it has every Ryan Reynolds that I've ever seen in one movie. He takes you on this emotional roller coaster that dips and loops through the tonal changes that the director has set out in the storytelling and the cinematographer is showing us. So everybody's all working hand in hand to craft us experiencing Jerry. I mean, one moment it's completely dark, gritty, sinister, a powerhouse of emotions. And then the very next moment, he's playfully talking to the severed head in his fridge. Yeah.
What you did to me.
I'm so sorry.
And it talks back, along with his cat and his dog. Mr. Whiskers and Bosco, the cat and the dog, which are essentially the devil and the angel on Jerry's shoulders in this movie.
Jerry, you're a serial killer.
No, he isn't.
The cat constantly guiding Jerry that you need to kill, you need to kill. And the dog being the voice of reason, not giving up on Jerry. Jerry, you can be a better person. It's so freaking clever. It's so cute and disturbing at the same time. This movie is insane. And both of these animals are voiced by Ryan Reynolds. I didn't know that. Watching this movie, I thought they had different voice actors. As a matter of fact, Ryan Reynolds plays every animal voice in this movie because there's a few other animals that talk to him, kind of freckled out throughout the movie, but he plays every character. I didn't know Ryan Reynolds had that in him. I didn't know he could do voice acting like that because I did not recognize him. I did not recognize his voice. It made me wonder, like, why he didn't go for a different voice in Pikachu. Even when Pikachu came out and I saw the trailer, I'm like, he can't do different voices. No, he can totally do different voices, and this movie spotlights that talent of his, that hidden talent of his. And it really adds to the riveting performance that Ryan Reynolds gives throughout this entire film. The gore and slasher stuff in this movie is hardcore. This is Saw level cringy stuff going on here. It's sometimes so brutal that a horror hound like me, I cringed. Not just because of the violence, but just how it's being played out. You know, like again, it's just a roller coaster of emotions. While he's slashing somebody, you're feeling just so many different ways about it. Then there's the sound effects that they use. They heighten some of these sounds that just make your spine tingle. Like there's a moment where he's like sawing through a bone, and that sound just, every time is, you're just like, oh. But it made me cringe like a Saw movie. Which is crazy coming from a movie that essentially starts out like the Santa Clarita Diet. You think you're getting a fun-loving, light-hearted thriller. And you do. But you're also getting this very deep, horrifying slasher movie all wrapped up in a psychological thriller bow.
In her eyes, you're a ridiculous peasant. Kill her, and you'll discover what it feels like to be truly alive.
Don't run!
This is like the perfect slasher movie for me. There's nothing I don't like about this film, and if I were to come up with anything, I have one thing that I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie, and that's how everything wraps up at the end. It seemed a bit rushed and convenient. It really didn't make sense with the rest of the movie, but it wasn't like so off base that it took me out of the movie. But looking back on it, it feels a bit rushed. I liked how it ended, but I didn't like how it got there. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that makes sense. This is definitely going on my top shelf of thriller slasher movies. That's why I'm giving this film an A+.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
That was great!
If you have Vudu, it's free right now. Go check it out. If it's not free anymore, it's worth renting or even buying. I definitely suggest this movie to any horror fan or even Ryan Reynolds fan, or comedy fan, or Santa Clarita Diet fan, or Saw fan. So please check it out, and if you have already checked it out, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And also, you can check out some more of my videos right here, and as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
Sorry I killed you guys.
Let's not bring up the bad things.
Sing a happy song, sing a happy song. Why don't you sing along, sing a happy song? Get on up and dance, sing a happy song.